is. You add two segments together to get the whole segment. Take a point. What is the angle addition postulate?
Add angles to get the
Yes, to get the whole angle. Good. Take a point. So what we're going to do today for our first example of our geometric proof, and again, these are a little more complicated than algebraic, but we can do this. We'll persevere in the face of danger. So the first one says, prove that if segment AB is congruent to segment CD, then segment AC is congruent to segment BD. So what we're trying to do, it's given that these two are congruent. So put those tickies. So we're trying to prove that if those parts are congruent, then the whole thing from A to C, which is this one, and B to D. Now, before we go any further into our proof, tell me why you think that those would be congruent. Without us having to prove it, why would they be congruent?
Because I can't tell.
Why?
Because if you take
those two have to end a certain congruent,
Yep.
which would make it the same like between B and C.
B and C is congruent to itself, right?
Yes.
Because it's its own thing, okay? So then why would AC and BD be congruent looking at that?
Because it's the same thing.
Because they're all equal, right? So if you have two parts that are equal, doesn't that mean that they're equal to each other? Okay, so that's what we're about to prove. If you answered any part of that, take a point. Good job. Alright, so the first thing it says is we write down our given, and it says the segment AB is congruent to segment CD. Alright, then our next step that we're filling in, and we're trying to figure out what we would do, is the definition of congruent segments. So looking back at what we wrote down on Friday, what would we write for the definition of congruent segments? Look at your notes from Friday. Instead of staring off into space, we wrote down definition of congruent segments. Like that?
Yes.
Awesome. Take a point. Do we see what we did there? Yes, no, maybe so. Do I need to make you all do jumping jacks to wake you up?
No.
Then can we get it together? Alright, what is this? Now, step 3 says BC is equal to BC. What reason do we give for that? Starts with an R. Reflexive. So symmetric is when it flips. Reflexive is when it's the same thing. Alright, now, ignore everything else that we have on the paper. We know that we are going to use the segment addition postulate. Okay? That's what they tell us to use. And so far we have AB equals CD, and we have BC equals itself. Now, we're trying to get here. So what could we say equals AC? We're using the segment addition postulate. So A, B, and what would we add to AB to get A? Plus BC equals AC. Yes. Does everybody see where we got that from? Does anybody not see? Are we okay? Okay, fantastic. Now, for the next one, it says that CD plus BC equals AC. Why do you think that is? But what did they do? What did they replace from here to here? They replaced AB. And what did we say right here? So this is the substitution. Y'all really want to use transitive property a lot. Why?
I just like
Fun to
saying
say.
it. I like
Okay, that's what I thought, that it was fun to say. And that's a reason to use it in every proof. Just to let you know. Okay, so next step is CD plus BC equals BD. What is that?
Yes, substitution, right?
Is it? Or is it something else? Hmm?
So it's just leaving out A.
It is. But what it's saying this time is that this orange plus this one right here equals this segment. So what's that called? Segment addition postulate.
It's set.
Okay. Now, what do you think we would do from there?
Transitive property. Yay.
It is the transitive property. What did they take out?
The BC.
Because they're the same thing, right? So they took those out and they set AC equal to BD. Now, what are we trying to prove?
AC.
And what postulate is that? Or what definition is that?
What are those?
Look at your things that we just did yesterday or Friday. The other sheet. If you go from congruent to equal, what did we use? Okay, can we also go from equal to congruent using the same thing? The definition of congruent segments. Thank you. Now, do you think geometric proofs are a little harder than algebraic? Is it more because you have to use multiple steps and then look at a picture? Could you try the next one, at least the first step, without me?
I can try.
Try number one without me. Or do we want to walk through the proof we just did again? Y'all are kind of annoying me, so I really don't want to walk through it again. We're not listening or answering, so write it down.
Try this.
Write it down. Write it down. Write it down.
Yeah, so, look.
I got it.
You lost.
Hmm?
So you lost me again.
You're lost for the given? What does it give you?
Do I try all that?
Is that what it gives you?
That's all it is.
It tells you it's here.
Yeah, but it's got all these other readings.
Seems like
Oh, sweet potatoes.
I'm not good at reading. I don't know where.
I remember on the other one,
Your brain is advanced.
We did. We wrote them in separate sets. We don't necessarily have to do that. I don't know what you want me to do about this. No, we're not doing that. It's just a cramp in your neck muscles. Okay, so we are proving that WY equals YZ, and YZ is congruent to XZ, then and XZ is congruent to WX, then WX must be congruent. Oh, that's a lot of nonsense. So we're trying to prove all the sides are congruent, right?
Right.
Okay. What would we write to begin with?
It's a square, so they're all congruent.
No, baby. What does it give us?
Oh,
All this thing?
yeah.
Okay. So WY equals YZ. YZ is congruent to XZ, and XZ is congruent to WX. Okay. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Then you got
I'm sorry?
the W1.
What you talking about?
On the left one, you got that.
This is what we're proving. That's not part of our given. This is what we're proving. So,
All of them are congruent.
if given, this is your given. This is what we prove. So you can't add this to the given. That's not given to you. So the next step says definition of congruent segments. So we would take our congruent segments and say what? YZ equals what? Okay. And what else? The last one.
Yeah.
Okay, do we know what YZ equals?
Yes.
Okay, what does YZ equal?
8C.
What does it equal? What number?
3.
3. Okay, so could we take out the middle here though? Do they equal the same thing?
Yes.
So could we say that YZ equals WX? Transitive. This is what we're trying to get to. Now, what is YZ also equal to in our given? WY. So we would substitute and we would say WY equals WX. And I don't like that being substitution. This is the definition of congruent segments. Boom, we're done. Oh, I can already feel that you guys are going to hate these. But we're going to be positive, and we're not going to hate them.
I slightly.
Don't hate them. Don't do it.
I already hate him.
Don't do it. All right, look in the top drawer of your tower. Let's get out that next worksheet. We're going to work through them together.
You can't make me not hate these.
They're too long.
So when you leave, do you turn it off?
When we pause it, or when we stop the video.
I'm closing my notebook, Travis.
I know we're making pretty.
Very strange. Sandra, you can't stop me.
I'm sorry?
If you can't stop me.
I can't, but I can encourage you to not hate it, right?
Yeah, but it won't
Yes, but it's not going to
How do you know it won't work?
Because our
Because I already hate
Have some faith, my children.
told us before we started that we were going to hate you.
I'm sorry. You're going to love this. It's going to be the greatest thing we've ever done.
Which was just easier than
Yeah, if it wasn't as hard or complicated, it
No,
would
it's just that you said it was hard.
It gets easier.
But yeah, it's
Did you use it?
You do.
I don't do large bugs at all.
Okay, does everybody have their sheet out? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
Okay. Are we ready?
No. I don't know if Charlie calls it.
Well, first we start with our postulates, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is this postulate? What are you adding together? Segment addition postulate. So what would we write right here? Okay, write that down. Segment addition postulate. We're going to be positive. All right, what's the next one? Well, what are they adding together, Pumpkin?
Angle addition.
So that's the angle addition postulate. Okay, what's the next one?
No.
Definition of congruence.
Definition, it says that R is the midpoint. So if they're telling us that QR is congruent to RS, what is that the definition of? Definition of a midpoint. Okay, what about next? Angle bisector, take a point. Okay, so that wasn't terrible, was it? No, it wasn't. Stop it, you bunch of babies. It is not.
I want to go home.
If y'all cry, I'm going to laugh at you. I'm just warning you now. If you cry, I'm going to make fun of you. Alright, let's look at number 5. Here we go.
Wait till the day you cut me, so I'm like,
Okay.
It depends on what it is. Like, you cry because your soccer team lost on leg.
I did cry because my soccer. They won this weekend, though. It was rough, but they won. They won, guys.
Who did they beat?
Who did they beat? I tried to block it out because it was a ugly game. Swansea. We should have beat Swansea. It's Swansea. Anyway, let's not digress. Let's do this. Okay. All right. So this tells us. Let's look at this one together. It says that AB equals 12 and BC equals 9. All right, and that's what they give us. Now they say that AB plus BC equals AC. So what is that? Segment addition postulate. No. Okay. Now what did they do here?
Substitution.
Look at you guys go. I need these spaces to be bigger. Alright, what about number 4? What did they do there?
Addition.
And then 5 was replacing.
Is it?
No.
Symmetric.
I keep getting those to me too. I keep thinking if it's reflecting.
Okay, now was that terrible? That was not terrible, you whiny babies. Okay, now take that and do number 6 without me.
It's hard.
It is not. Stop it. We're being positive.
That was pretty hard.
Every time you say that it was hard or you can't do it, we're going to take off a point.
I knew you were going to say
What?
Every time, tater tots.
Oh my god.
that.
That's when you learn to be upset on the inside.
Yeah.
Let your soul die.
What number they doing, number 6?
We are on number 6. I don't know what she's talking about over there. She's dying.
I am.
I'm crying.
Please don't cry.
Technically, we're all
Why?
Technically, we're living too.
Yeah, technically we're all dying.
Y'all, sweet potatoes.
We're just like Timmy Turner.
I'd rather be
We're just
a
like Timmy
normal
Turner.
potato.
Deep got here.
You are a normal potato.
I'm a baked potato.
You're a French fry.
I'm a burnt potato.
No, you
I'm
gotta
a burnt
say the
french
size of the
fry.
whole potato.
You're a regular potato.
I'm a burnt french fry. Like
Can y'all please do these?
I'm missing one thing.
You're missing one thing?
I'm missing number 1. Or number 2. I don't know what it is.
It's segment addition, segment addition.
It is, because they added the parts of the segment together. You missed the easiest one. Look at you go. No judgment. All God's children.
Number 1 is segment addition postulate.
No, number 1 is given.
No, we just said it.
Two is segment addition. Number 3 is substitution.
Oh no.
Alright, what did y'all get for 2? Besides Gryffindor and Slytherin.
Oh my
We're
god.
Hufflepuff.
Take a point.
I'm a former Hufflepuff. So
I'm a
technically, I
former
can
Bobatus
still.
and a former Hufflepuff.
So technically, I can still in.
Oh my gosh. Okay, what did they do here?
Okay, so they substitution.
They did use substitution.
But you can put sig, egg, post, but I can't put sap.
Yes. Yes. Alright, and then what did they do here? They subtracted.
Basketball.
Y'all, symmetric would be if they flipped it around and if it said 18 equals 5 plus BC, but it doesn't, they
Well, what about
subtracted.
reflexive then?
Reflexive means it's the same on both sides.
Reflexive, man.
True. It's at 4 o'clock.
I keep thinking of reflect.
No.
So how did you get your answer? It is right what?
5 and 18.
Yeah, so that's right.
Sorry, my back hurt.
Okay, number 7, what would that be?
Definition of group.
Yes, take a point.
I said that.
So,
Do I get
I
a
said
point
it
too?
too. You got
She was
wrong.
talking to you, bro.
Or she wanted to slow.
Take a deep breath. Thomas is on the same team as you are,
Yay.
so y'all get points.
It's a difference. What? Okay.
Difficult.
Okay, number 8.
I was like, that? What do you mean?
Number 8.
The definition of congruence.
Yes.
Type it up.
No, different compound.
Oh, my sweet potatoes. Alright, I would like you to try number 9 without me.
Too hard.
Alright, that's a point off from y'all's team.
Are you serious?
No, I'm Severus. Harry Potter. Read it, watch it, live it, love it. Well, then you should know who Severus is. Yeah.
Am I a bandwagon for going to Gryffindor or Hufflepuff? Which one's better?
Slytherin is the best.
But like,
Dude,
Between Hufflepuff
we
and-
just listen. We Dwayne Wade and Ryan. We go every week, right?
Come on, Pumpkin. Do this.
I'm lost. You gotta get your body. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If I almost put some extra for that.
I think
Okay, so 6 is.
this is symmetric.
And what if we write down
I keep wanting to say, what's the
Holy moly!
We're just gonna put transit because we like that one.
I'm not just putting
I don't make you feel anyway.
I'm gonna try.
You're trying to make me feel happy.
Wait a minute, let me go back and look at my.
That's the last one.
Y'all had definition of
Midpoint, yes.
y'all had.
That's one of the first ones that they wrote down up at the top.
It's whoa.
I started erasing them. See, liking a word helps you.
No, it's not.
Sorry.
It is trying.
See, we were deciding between transitive and reflexive, and we put transitive because we like that word. It is right.
What if it's not right?
It is
What
right.
are
We
you
just
gonna
checked.
do?
We just checked.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm using my brain.
This.
Or it might be
What did you
substitution.
do with that? Right?
Well, I had to put up my notes this morning, and now I don't know where my notes went. Like, I don't know where they put
I'll
them.
ask you.
A, B, plus
And I decided to get under my covers and cry and then
so it might be
Why don't you
six.
just do it? Because it was huge and it made me huge, like, loud. I was texting my friend who was with me. I'm like, can you come over? And he's like, it's 2 a.m. Yeah, he's like, it's 2 a.m. I was like, no, it's 4. And I was like, it's 2 a.m. Like, it's a bug in your health.
All right. So, what did y'all get for number 2?
Definition of concave.
Definition of midpoint. Yes.
Just means the midpoint thing.
Oh.
You said it was concept too.
Okay. So, guys, it starts by saying that B is the midpoint. So, if B is the midpoint, then you should know that these two are congruent based on this up here that we just wrote down together. Look at that. Okay, so what would this be?
Never concept.
Can we say the actual words?
Congruency.
Okay.
Only you can write it that way.
I don't have enough room.
Concept better.
Japanese concept.
Alright, so then it says given AB equals 5. So they gave that to us. So what would this be? Substitution. Or could it also be the definition of a midpoint?
Yeah.
Because they're congruent, right? So we could use substitution or definition of a midpoint.
Well, could number 3 be definition of that or definition of congruency?
This would be the definition of congruency because we went from congruent to equal. Yeah. Alright, and then this one would be symmetric.
Whoa, why did you write it like that?
I don't know what just happened. I don't know. Okay. Are you ready to try number 10 without me?
Yes.
Yes. Try number 10. You can do this. May the force be with you. Persevere in the face of danger. Thank you. That's okay. I haven't graded it yet. Because there's some people that still owe it to me, so you're fine.
I need a substitute.
You know how we did the card sort on algebraic proofs? Would it help if we did one like that on geometric?
No, that was terrible.
I think it would help if we practice.
I didn't have time to study. I had to go home. Google Classroom.
We were negative.
No, we were trying to find out what's best for us.
We still have 5.
Yeah, you're right.
Alright, come on, do number 10. Make sure you're talking to your group. Make sure you all have the
Wait,
same
hold on,
thing.
is that number
More than
10?
just you three in a group.
No, it's the angle thing.
What did you guys get for number
Because that's the segment of an
I
angle.
got it.
Angle, whatever.
Hang at post.
Addition, angle, postulate. I'm trying to get
You
You got the right idea, it's not the right.
Angle, make sure you say measure of angle.
You know Matthew, right? He does really good. He gave me one the other day.
Why is there like rappers on board?
I can.
Logic.
Alright, what did we get for 2?
Addition, no, angle measurement, addition.
What is happening?
Okay, angle,
Angle,
addition,
addition,
postulate.
postulate.
Angle, addition, postulate. Why is it angle this time?
Because it's never such an angle. Booyah. Yeah.
Because it says measure of angle QRV.
Yes. Alright, so now, remember, for angle addition, you add up the parts of the angles to get the whole angle. Now, it gave us that the measure of this one was what? 15 degrees. And what about this one?
17 degrees.
17 degrees. So what did they do here? Substitution.
Then addition.
And then they added them together.
Then symmetry.
And then symmetric. Symmetric. Okay, are we ready?
This is the wrong order.
Yeah.
Let's look at the back. Now, this first one, you have to do it all by yourself, the whole proof. So let's start by making our 2 columns. What goes on the left every time? Statement. And what is what remix? Reasoning. Thank you. Okay. Now they give us that AB equals 7 and AC equals 15. So should we start with our given?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start by saying that AB equals 7 and AC equals 15. And what reason would that be?
Given.
Given. Now, we're trying to prove that BC equals 8. So we have, wait, tater tots. We have that this is 7, and the whole thing is 15. So what should we do since we have, what should we do since we have segments? We got to write something first.
First, segment addition.
You have to do the segment addition postulate first. We have to say that if you add AB and BC, then you'll get AC. You have to say that every time. Now, we know that we could subtract 15 minus 7. We know that we could do that. Can you please put that away? Thank you so much. We know that we can subtract that because we've done this before, but what we're doing here is we're explaining step by step how we get there. So you have to be able to explain what we're doing. So what would, what?
What is this called here?
Geometric proofs. So what would we do from here? What do we know?
Substitution.
We would substitute, and what would we plug in?
7 plus BC equals 15.
Yes, 7 plus BC equals 15. Good, take a point. And that's the substitution. Okay? Now, what are we trying to prove? Okay, so what would we do from here?
Subtract 7 from 15.
And what would we get?
8.
And that is subtraction. And we did it. And when you solve a proof, you can write QED once you proved it.
What does that mean?
Fancy. It's a Latin thing. It's complicated. You get to do it in college, and it's a lot of fun, and you feel accomplished at the end of your paragraph proofs, and you're like, boom, I'm done.
Alright, so,
Okay, so can you try 12 without me?
yes.
Okay, try 12.
Don't say that.
Makes you feel bad about my handwriting.
Yes.
If I bring you all that stuff up there, I get it.
You get however many points it says up there.
How much are tissues in your house?
Oh, they're 5 each.
I'll bring everything.
What if I bring a pencil sharpener?
Yes. Yes.
What if I bring a pencil
I'm
sharpener?
bringing my own tape.
Don't be like
Your handwriting
bring
was
What if I
bad on
bring
my
you lunch?
handwriting.
What if I bring you a
What do you mean
pencil?
by all the tape?
All type.
So like duct tape, gorilla tape.
Are you gonna put it in every day?
Say it to me again.
Are you gonna put it in as like
I may add it to like your low grades and split it up.
Besides,
So
what
you
if I
say
bring
you
you
have to bring to get 10 points.
Coach Hamrick already brought us a pencil sharpener. He is on it. He gets all the bonus points.
So you say you want duct tape, gorilla tape, you want videotape.
adhesive?
No, I just want regular tape. It was just being funny.
have to be sticky? I don't understand. It's gorilla tape.
What?
Can y'all please do number 12? Just do this. Bunch of weirdos. Bunch of weirdos.
Bro, are you good?
No.
Alright, so I made mine to column proof. And what do they give us?
B is the middle.
A, B equals 4x minus 3, B, C equals 11. The whole thing you said you was just right there.
And our reasoning is
Given.
given. Why are you up? There's a trash can. Alright, so then,
A, B plus B, C equals AC.
no. What do they tell us?
Oh, B is the midpoint of AC.
So we would say AB equals BC by the definition of a midpoint. Okay? Now, do we know what AB and BC are?
Yeah.
So what would we do?
Substitute.
Substitute. 4x minus 3 equals 11. And that's substitution. And what would we remix? You would add 3, so you get 4x equals,
14. That's addition.
and that is addition, tater tot.
I'd rather be a French
Truth.
Taylor times is too small.
And what would we do?
Divide.
That's sorry.
And x equals?
3.5.
And isn't that what we tried to prove?
Yeah.
And that's by the division. And then what do we write at the end? Because we fancy.
Salisbury pancakes or waffles?
Waffles, always.
No.
Wait,
Yes.
wait, what she said? Oh, what? Oh my god.
Pancakes
my favorite
are
food.
better.
Pancakes are my favorite food. So I gotta eat pancakes.
Okay, y'all, you do understand that we're allowed our own opinions, right?
I did, but just like
Lasagna.
Lasagna.
Lasagna. Alright, 13 is our last one, and if we finish, we have no homework.
Spaghetti made right. It could be
Given is AB is congruent to CD. Line A.
Alright, so I got segment AB is congruent to segment CD, and that's given. Definition of congruent segments when we say that they're equal. We flipped it around, so that's symmetric. And then we said that the segments are congruent because that's what we're trying to prove. And what do we end it with?
Quinn.
QED. Why do we do that?
Quinn.
Because we're fancy.
Salisbury Quinn.
Alright, one person, take it up.
I didn't fail.
I'm proud of you.
Voted Jarvis.
I'm voted.
Copied most of it down from the board, baby.
For a reason.
Yes, that's somebody in my first period class.
Question.
Yes, I'm proud of you for that. One person in the group take it up, and then take the papers to the tray. We got to talk about our schedule for this week. Let's go, let's go.
You're like a seagull.
Are we doing anything special?
We are. So we're going to talk about our schedule. And we're also going to talk about where our schedule... Stop that! No, we have a schedule on the About page on our Google Classroom. It's our calendar. Now, Wednesday, we have a... what? A math workshop test. So you need to study that little card that I gave you. It's 16 questions. Travis, are you listening to me, love?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tomorrow we're going to start section 2.8, which is just the angle version of what we did today. We're going to practice that on Wednesday. We're going to review all of it on Thursday, and we're going to have a test on Friday to end our 9 weeks. Now, if you owe me any makeup work, I will not take it after Wednesday. Does everybody understand? So when is the last day for makeup work? Wednesday. The 9 weeks ends Friday. Report cards come out the next week on the 13th.
Friday.
People get on my nerves.
I use my
People
dad.
argue me now. They're like, you get on